Welcome everyone to the public board meeting of School District 48, Sea to Sky. Today's date is September the 10th, 2025, and I'm happy to welcome us all back to our first board meeting of what feels like the year. The new year for all of our students in their new grades and some teachers in their new assignments, et cetera, et cetera. To begin, though, I'd like to acknowledge that we are privileged to meet here on the unceded and the ancestral territories of the Squamish and the St'át'imc Nations. We have a recommendation
that the minutes of the board meeting,
the one above
that the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, April. Thank you, Melissa. And any discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And we have 2-minute recommendations. Is there someone? Oh, 3. Is there someone prepared to make those?
That the minutes of the board meeting held on June 18th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Melissa. And a seconder. Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's also carried. The next recommendation,
that the summary minutes of the in-camera board meeting held on June 18th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Melissa. And a seconder for that one, please.
Second.
Thank you, Lisa. Any discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's also carried. And there's a final recommendation.
That the minutes of the special board meeting held on June 25th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you again, Melissa, and a seconder for that.
Second.
Thank you, Lisa. Any discussion? Seeing none, any opposed? Seeing none, that is also carried. Thank you so much. That brings us to our chairperson's remarks. Rebecca Barley, our chair, is not here today, so I'm stepping into her place. I'm listed down in item B for trustee remarks, but I think I'll just move that up to chair remarks and maybe use twice the time. No, I'm just joking. Anyhow, I just wanted to comment briefly about my attendance at the Canadian School Board Association's Congress and National Gathering on Indigenous Education. It was originally scheduled to take place in Winnipeg, but was cancelled due to wildfires and the move on that government's part to ask hotels and other accommodation providers to please reserve those seats and or beds for people who were facing evacuation. So the event was moved online, which I must say was very well done. They pivoted so quickly to provide an online platform and to get all of the speakers set up and ready to go. It was excellent. It was very early mornings because although they can change, their platform, they cannot change time. And as we are in a different time zone, we had to wake up early and be there and ready to go. But it was fantastic. So I thought I'd quickly as possible just let you know who was there, I think would be the best. And then if you want to learn more, I have sent a document out to the trustees and to staff that you can take a look at. There's some really meaningful links in that document. And I would like to especially draw your attention to the very end of the document where there's links to what they call the Cross Canada Check-in. And this is where Indigenous partners from each province they provide an update on their own, and then the chairperson or the president of the provincial trustee association also provides an update about what's happening in the province. So it's really, really interesting and it's really informative, and it just gives you a real breadth of knowledge about what's happening across the country. So if you have a bit of time, definitely take a look. If the public is interested, they are on YouTube. And so it's, open to everyone to take a look at. Really, I think it's well worth your time. So we heard from David Suzuki. He had a lot to say, but he sort of wound it up by saying that, what we really need to do right now is create meaningful change for the environment at the community level. And I really thought that that ties in with what we're doing here, following the first person's principles of learning and being and knowing and having experiences on the land for our students. I felt like we had a good connection there to what he was saying is probably the best way forward, as he felt that all of the advocacy and all of the work that has taken place over the years to try and move climate science and education about climate change forward has really failed at the provincial level, or at the federal level. It's just not happening. So if we want meaningful change, we need to do it at the local level. So that was David Suzuki's main message. A lovely presenter then took the stage. Her name was Denise Tardif, and she spoke about the two-spirited identity. She's a Métis woman from Red River, and her message was we have to remain cognizant that the two-spirited people are a unique community in our school, and that although lots of work has been done, we need to continue to pay close attention to that unique community. She offered a couple resources, one called Rainbow Resources 2 and Spirit Manitoba. So a couple places you could look to. I also, in that little handout I gave little bios about who these people are. They're pretty interesting too. Next speaker was Dr. Marty Ford. And the title of her presentation was What We Can Learn from the Inuit. And this again was really like so much insight. I'll just highlight, she did that, what we can learn. And then she talked about a survey that she did with kids and what they would like schools to look like. So the sort of the highlight of this presentation were when she spoke about the 4 laws to create a good life. And they were: work for the good of all and not for your own personal gain. Live respectfully with everything and every person you encounter. Maintain harmony and balance, and plan and prepare for the future. Those are really nice. And then her student voice, she did a survey with kids and she said, what would you like your school to look like? Like your dream school, what would it look like? And they said it would have a huge kitchen and a laundry room in circular buildings, a place that includes parents and grandparents and a diverse staff, learning circles that promote belonging, curriculum on the caretaking of the earth. Teachers are trained in cultural appropriate practice, restorative adjustment, and assessment reflects where the student is at. They also talked about having year-round schooling, which I was like pretty surprised to hear that come from students. So interesting. So anyway, it was nice. I feel like we do a lot of these things here at Sea to Sky. Excellent. Then we had Dr. Cindy Blackstock, and her presentation was called Spirit Bear's Guide to Reconciliation in Education. And she highlighted some of the trends that she feels are affecting education. And these are the environment, a demographic showing greater transition of people off reserve, and the threats and advantages that are coming from technology. These are the highlights of her presentation. And she also spoke about Jordan's Principle, which is named after a young child named Jordan River, who became ill and eventually passed because the different ministries that were tasked with his care couldn't decide in time who would pay for the care. And so Jordan's Principle was created. It's sacred and it's legal, and it emphasizes the need to act quickly and appropriately and with respect to meet the needs of children. Yeah, and in that attachment, there's a link to the National Film Board movie, which is called Jordan River Anderson, The Messenger. It's not too long. It's pretty powerful. If you have a few minutes, you should take a chance and have a watch. The last presenter of that day was a gentleman named Todd Brand, and he was a parliamentarian. I thought that I would go ahead and watch that presentation just to see how our board meetings compared to what he had to say. And really, it looks we were pretty aligned with what he had to say. He did bring up a couple of things that we don't do that maybe we could consider. One was whether or not we should add into policy if there should be limits to the number of years a person can serve in the position of chair and vice chair or on particular committees. So that was something that I took away from that. And then he was the one who had asked yourself the questions about what kind of a trustee you're being and how you're conducting yourself at the meetings. He said, you should ask yourself these questions. Am I saying something new? Should I speak up more? If I am not talking, am I listening? And finally, can I help find a new path forward? 4 interesting questions. And then just before, actually, I go on to day 2. Oh, I didn't write it down in my notes, but I think I wrote it down in the handout that I gave everyone. What was very interesting in Manitoba is that they have enshrined into law food security and funding for food security. So if, for whatever reason, the bucket of money starts to like deteriorate, food security still has to be funded because they have, they've enshrined that into law. I can't, NILO's law, that's what the name of it is. After a woman who was active in the field of early childhood education. So really amazing advocacy work there. And day 2. Day 2 started off with Chief Phil Fontaine, who I didn't really know an awful lot about, but he is a very charismatic speaker. It was excellent. He talked about the calls to action, number 6 to number 12, which are directly related to education. So we should all really take some time and be sure that we're aware of what those are. He acknowledged the past and he said that it's really important that we acknowledge the past and be sure that we're teaching the true history of Canada to children. And then his phone rang and we're online. This is just a little funny story. So it's online. There's him and there's the president of the Canadian School Board Association, and the phone rings. And the Canadian School Board Association guy's like, he looks to see if it's phone, and Phil's like, looks to see if it's phone, and it's Phil's phone. And he's like, hey, can I call you back? And then clearly this person did not take the hint that no, and they kept talking. And
While
so,
he was presenting to the
You're-
hundreds of,
yes,
right.
during
Oh,
his
that's
keynote
nice.
address. And so Chief Phil Fontaine is trying to like graciously have this person stop talking on the phone, and they wouldn't.
Why
And-
did he answer?
and- well,
Yeah.
we couldn't hear the conversation, but he's like, okay, yep, yep. And then I guess the person said everything they had to say. He hung up the phone and he carried on. I thought only on Zoom.
Great.
Yeah. Anyway, he carried on and he said that he asked the question, what does the best education in the world look like, according to Phil Fontaine? And he said, according to Phil Fontaine, the best education in the world would be inclusive, truthful, representative, and non-exclusive. And I thought, perfect. He also said, according to Phil Fontaine, what do I feel is working well to lift up our Indigenous people and continue with the good work? And he thought that those things were Orange Shirt Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, changes to the school curriculum. He felt that seeing the improved grad rates as a result of also improved health and social systems, as well as the hope and the dream that if politically we could all focus on how we are more alike than how we are different. And that was that was sort of how we wrapped it up. Said things are improving, but of course there's still lots of good work to be done. So excellent. If you ever have a chance to see him, or you want to just Google and listen to what he has to say, he's very charismatic, really, really great speaker. We then had a presentation from Lois Brink and Heidi Campbell, and they spoke on healthy schools and Canada's first climate ready school. They really kind of focused on the outdoor environment, super interesting. It's a school in Milton, Ontario. I guess it's a school in a city, and the playground was very black topped. The trees were sort of just on the outskirts of the playground, and they talked about how changing the environment is not only going to help the school be more climate ready and have it be better for the environment, but having an environment like this is also advantageous to the behaviors that you want to see happen on the playgrounds. And so they talked about this, what they called the triple bottom line analysis from an organization called, I think it's an organization, or maybe it's a software program called AutoCase. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this. So AutoCase, it's an accounting platform that measures the financial, the environmental, and the social value of a design, and will give you a metric that you can use to decide whether or not this is like a financially sound decision that you're making based on those three things. So that was sort of interesting. And they worked with a nonprofit group called Evergreen, who helps build better public spaces that are climate ready. So again, Evergreen, if we ever have the need to build a better climate ready space, there's a resource that we could have in our back pocket. So yeah, the school's name is Irma Colson in Milton, and yeah, it was really neat. It was really beautiful. And they said for winter playgrounds, look to Scandinavia if you want to figure out some good ways to improve the social dynamics on a playground. That the people in Scandinavia really have this like down. They know what they're doing. So it's super interesting. I could talk a lot more, but I'm trying to be brief because we have a lot to cover tonight. The next presentation was from Gordon Lee and the BCSTA President Tracy Lofters, and they spoke about the education series that's offered to all of the trustees and set that out as an exemplar for other provinces to be able to follow should they like. Then there was Fred Penner. It was really great to see Fred Penner, but to sing along over Zoom in my bedroom at 6 a.m. it just didn't really resonate, I'm afraid. So like, good try everybody, but Fred Penner, awesome performer.
Yeah.
He looks good. He looks good. He really tried. He tried his best. No. And then finally, the final speaker of the second day was Clara Hughes. And she, of course, talked about her journey through both the summer and the Winter Olympic Games, alongside her journey through mental health, and emphasized that we need to start treating, I really love this, we need to start treating mental health as a positive part of our personalities and not waiting to address it when it's broken. And her whole address, that theme ran through everything when she talked about how I was doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then I fixed my mental health. And then I did this and this and this and this, and then I fixed my mental health. Where she said if I had to do it ever again, I would do these things together. And so that was the conference in a nutshell. That was the 2 days. Really worthwhile, really made me feel overall that our district is aligning with all of the advice and recommendations that experts in the various fields had shared with us. And so it gives me confidence that we're doing good things and we're doing good work. And we can walk away with a few resources from the conference that we can use in the future, or just for your own personal growth. And that's it for me. Now, thank you. That's it for me. I'll turn it over to our superintendent, Chris Nicholson, for any remarks you might have at this moment.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Sounds like a fantastic conference. I look forward to looking through those materials. As this is our first board meeting of the year, I did send out a welcome back from me, but I do want to formally welcome everybody back. Not just folks around the table, but anybody listening or who'll be watching this at a later date. So big welcome back to all our returning families and staff. And a huge hello to anybody new who's joining us. We're thrilled to have you. I also want to formally or officially thank all those folks involved in getting classrooms, buses, school sites, district sites all ready for the kids and staff. There's a lot of work that goes on in the summer when vacations happen and folks are still working throughout the summer. So big thank you to all the hard work. I know there's a few things we're still working on. And I know we're in great hands from all the folks that work behind the scenes to ensure that we do have those welcoming spaces for staff and students. I will be going through an extensive year ahead plan of all the things planned, so I won't spend any more time on that. I do want to mention though, and maybe some other trustees may have some comments too, but we did earlier this afternoon have the pleasure of being able to attend the opening of the Valley Cliff Child Care Center. Mun, and I don't recall, so I'm going to say the name wrong, but for Statmas, which is so something and it means woman in Squamish. So my apologies to folks. I'll get that down pat. But I will just share that was a collaboration between our district, the province of BC with the Ministry of Education and Childcare, and the Squamish. Thank you. Peter Sky Community Services. Thank you very much. So all credit to all the folks involved, but especially Sea Sky Community Services, who tirelessly advocated for that space. And we were very happy to partner with them and do what we can. And just wanted to thank all of you for being there. It was a very heartwarming and invigorating, I found, experience. The Squamish Nation welcomed us all, did a blessing ceremony, sang some songs, and it was lovely to be a part of that. And thank you. See if I can pronounce this correctly now. So it's Munwun Semanit. I think.
So.
Again, I'm gonna practice that. So if we do have any folks listening who would like to come by, I'm sure they'd love to welcome you. Just be aware that it will be an operating center, so maybe call ahead or knock politely, because of course the number one priority is taking care of the Munmum in the center. So yeah, looking forward to visiting myself. So thank you very much. I'll stop now because I do have a lot to say later on in the agenda.
Thank you so much, Chris. And our Secretary Treasurer, Danielle Hagerstock, have you any comments?
My only comment is any questions of clarification from the public can be sent to board@sd48.bc.ca, and they should be related to board agenda items. So we will look at those at the end of today's board meeting.
Good. Thanks so much, Danielle. And I was a little bit remiss. After I spoke, I jumped right over to our superintendent remarks, and I didn't ask if there were any trustee remarks. Yeah, Lisa, please go ahead.
I just had one remark. At the end of the school year last year, I was able to take part in Howe Sound Secondary School's awards banquet. And I just wanted to comment that we may want to do a better job of promoting how amazing these contributions from the communities are for our students. They gave out $100,000 in scholarships, if I'm not mistaken, and it was impressive. There were so many students granted awards and scholarships. So I just want to thank all the community partners that helped make that possible for our amazing young learners and their education in the future. So thank you very much to those who contribute for our scholarships.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any other comments? Celeste, please go ahead.
Sure, I'll just quickly. So I was able to attend the Don Ross Middle School open house last night and see all of the important work that staff are doing there to make the school welcoming for the kids. The many clubs were all out on tables so that kids and families could have a look at what was going on this year. Weight room was open, and yeah, families were able to come and just have a good look at the school. So I just wanted to thank staff again for the work done after hours on that, and say it was really well run.
Thank you so much. Lovely. All right, thank you. And again, apologize for having our remarks out of order. That brings us to, unless I've missed anything. No, okay, great. That brings us to item number 4 and our year ahead presentation. Chris, I'd like to hand that over to you and I'm looking forward to the presentation.
All right, so I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen. I have to remember to unplug the other monitor so this all goes smoothly. No one needs to see my shopping list or anything else that might be hidden behind multiple tabs. One. Hide that. Say okay to that. Go into present mode. And hopefully it all works. There we are. Okay. So as folks know around the table and folks who may have seen this presentation before, what we try to do is to share both what the ministry has in store for us this year, and then to show obviously how we're aligned with the ministry priorities as well as our strategic plan. This work is not my work. This is the work of the entire team. So I'm speaking on behalf of the whole team, and we'll just thank staff before I start for all the fantastic plans ahead, which I will try to go through at a relatively quick pace. If I'm too fast, someone let me know. If I'm too slow, you can also give me the motion. But there are quite a few slides. So and thank you to the ministry. I always am remiss not to thank them for allowing us to share the slide. These are shared with the superintendents at the beginning of the first session in the summertime, and then we're able to share them out. They are to be shared out exactly as they appear. So the fonts and styles are their own, and in some places you might see some page numbers or slide numbers that are out of whack, and that's because I didn't need to share everything, just the highlights. So without further ado, away we go. These are the key priorities for your Ministry of Education and Childcare this year. We spoke about childcare a little bit earlier, and that remains a key priority for the ministry. As we've spoken about at various board meetings, of course, we recognize the importance of ensuring affordable childcare for all. And as a partner, we are more than happy to support its development by providing the space where we can. That said, I think we do recognize that it doesn't come without its challenges, from funding sources to workforce, et cetera. But the ministry has assured us that they're wanting to work with us about how we can do this work moving forward. Second priority is the recognition that there's a real desire to ensure we have fantastic folks working with our children, and not just fantastic folks who mean well, but folks who are well trained. So there is a provincial workforce team moving forward to develop some provincial sort of core competencies or standards across the province, just to ensure that we have a consistent level of support for all of our kids. And I can share that our CUPE union is very much in favor of this as well, and lots of opportunities for input and insight from the field, because after all, these are the folks doing the work. So their experience, their values, their hopes is very important. So we will keep the board and the public abreast on how we're going to move to more and more provincial standard for EAs. Secondly, and related to workforce, we spoke about this before too, that the ministry continues to take great strides in expediting teacher certification to ensure that we have certified teachers in our schools. We do recognize the ongoing workforce challenges. So they were happy to share that they've reduced the waiting time to evaluate applications from local teachers, from BC teachers, to get this work done within 2 weeks, 14 days, which is spectacular. We used to have to wait many weeks, if not months in the past. And secondly, the recognition that we have many teachers from international jurisdictions who are fantastic educators, and they have decreased those processing times from 9 months to 5 months. So we're looking for those opportunities to attract folks to our beautiful district. Yeah, we're super happy. That remains a priority.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second, Chris?
Yes.
Would you like to take questions as you go along or at the end?
Would for the board's pleasure, what would you prefer?
It's up to you. It's your presentation. I see April has her hand up right now, maybe.
Sure, now's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go back to
Okay.
you.
That one, so evaluating applications from domestically trained educators, is that?
April, your mic's not on.
Oh, my goodness. It's on. Is it not working?
Oh, is it on now? Is it on now? Okay. Where it says evaluating applications from domestically trained teachers, is that across Canada? Not just British Columbia. I'm thinking, given that the next point is
So,
international.
Yes, thank you. This is,
Okay.
this is across Canada.
Across
Thank you so
Canada.
much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, we have fantastic folks from Alberta,
Yeah.
Ontario. I'm gonna miss all the provinces, all the provinces.
All the
And
provinces.
this will expedite
Okay.
there. So we have lots of folks who want to live here, which is fantastic. Okay, so we spoke about this before as well. The ministry continues to prioritize the notion of a literacy assessment at kindergarten. There'll be a little more details from the ministry in an upcoming slide, so I'll wait for that. And an important point here is they're moving towards, again, a standardized provincial tool that will be made in BC, which is a fantastic development. There's been concerns over what tool might be used. Is it based on American stats? How are we, making sure that it fits the needs of our students? And so the ministry is now committed to a made in BC tool aligned with our competencies, which I think is yes, I believe they listen to the field very well, and I will commend them for that. The framework for enhancing student learning, the FESL. I will present the FESL a little later on in this agenda, and you will see that it is a 1-year template. They have moved from a year-to-year big report to a 3-year large report with smaller reports in between. And we are of the 40 districts that chose the short snapshot. And the rationale for that for our district is because we're in the middle of beginning our new strategic plan. We want to ensure that when we're ready to do the big one, it's aligned with the priorities of the new plan. So more on that later. And curricular updates. This was also spoken about at earlier board meetings, but the province has released additional resources that we just sent out to the field just this week for supports to ensure that the now mandatory Holocaust education knowledge and learning opportunities is throughout grade 10 starting this year. And again, another addition is the mandatory CPR and AED, or those automated electronic defibrillators for folks experiencing cardiac arrest. That there is mandatory learning now for every graduate beginning in this school year from the current grade 10s onward. Again, this is just a related slide. Throughout the province, again, as it says, 97 districts already have AEDs available, and some are all school sites. That's us. And 85% have naloxone stocked. And we are also a district ahead of the game. And we'll be speaking to that a little bit later as well. And again, there's been some additional mental health grant money to support that training. Focused Ed is a provincial body that helps to get good deals on bulk purchase. So they'll be trying to get the best deal for all districts as we outfit our schools with AEDs. We'll speak about our policy a little bit later, but this is the deadline for policies, December 31st. Cybersecurity continues to be a priority for the province. And again, there's a new firewall contract being procured, and that will allow all of us to be under the same quality of protection, which has been something, thank you to the trustees, both the BCSTA, the Superintendent Association, the Teachers Union, CUPE, we've all been advocating for this. So it is happening, which is fantastic. So we will keep the board and the public apprised on where we are here. And this is obviously super exciting that we continue, the province, the ministry continues to work with the OECD. That is a world body for economic and social development, where they bring in, sorry? Too fast?
Go ahead. No, it's good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Where they kind of bring the best and brightest jurisdictions around education together around a global table. And it's worth mentioning that these are all countries except for one jurisdiction, and it is the province of BC that continues to be seen as a leader in education and is always invited to these conferences. And what you'll note, and this is again our language, the international student assessments that are done on a periodic basis, and from time to time, our district, we get informed that our students will be assessed. They are moving to competency assessment. So for those of us in BC, this is a fantastic move and a recognition of the hard work in this province and in this district on the importance of competencies.
That's so great.
It's huge.
That's really great to hear.
Not till 2029, but
That's moving
hopefully-
to success.
that's right, worldwide. So that's the power of the work that's been done. And the I'll just mention again at the session with the ministry, and I know at the on our conversations with the minister, just that assurance that we are moving right ahead with the competency-based curriculum, despite some political machinations to divert that. Okay, this is exciting. This is the new Ministry of Infrastructure. We met the new minister. So this is a big change in terms of how our large capital projects are developed. It is no longer the Ministry of Education and Childcare that will be responsible for things like new schools or seismic upgrades,
Wow.
playgrounds, etc. Yeah, this is brand new. So it has been announced in media, but they really didn't pick it up as much as you'd think, because this is a huge change. The hope, and I'm gonna get to the next slide, is by having a separate ministry, and I'm just speaking on behalf of what I was told. I have no opinion at this moment because I haven't seen it in action, but the mandate letter is for faster delivery of cost-effective, high-quality investments, minimize that cost inflation, reduce costs for taxpayers. I think for schools and sites, super important, expediting construction. Currently, each new school, for example, or major addition goes through a very, very long process. And so while a ministry can say, yes, we're going to build that new school, it is based on that year's current enrollment.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that in 5 to 7 years, when it completes,
It's already.
it can already be too small and need portables. This is to address that. So this I think is very, very promising. And they are looking at a standardized set of like design. So instead of each individual district and community having sometimes architectural flourishes that can actually cost a lot of money,
Custom
there'll be some room for, honoring place, but for the most part, there's going to be, here are great learning spaces you can choose from. And if it's a prefabricated model, this isn't your old, we're not talking about old school portables. We're just talking about state-of-the-art prefab building that can go up quick, that have infrastructure in place, that are environmentally sound, et cetera, et cetera. Proof will be in the pudding though. So we will see, and I'm sure we'll all have opportunities to keep folks accountable. So that's a a big change.
Mhm.
So this is education and healthcare as well. So let's hope so. Yes. Yes.
Infrastructure project.
Okay. Ministry decided to, again, do their priorities and then do a separate presentation and slide deck on learning updates. So some of these things are repetitive. But I'm compelled to share as is. So we spoke about this already, the priority initiatives for learning around the K-12 literacy supports. So this is the grant we were speaking about earlier, which we will submit in October. Our plans in consultation with the Indigenous Education Council. You actually mentioned in your opening, Cynthia, the Jordan's principle,
Mhm.
and the federal changes are just ensuring that the applications to the monies available are appropriate and can't be such that a school district might say, instead of budgeting for EAs, we'll just apply for Jordan's principle to pay for the EAs.
Interesting.
We will never do that.
That's
But
something.
this is to ensure that there's really clarity that this is when you've got your budget, you're in some dire straits, you don't want a child to wait for service. So you apply. So there'll be more information on that coming, and I'm sure BCSTA as well.
Good, yeah.
They did extend the Indigenous focused non-instructional day for an additional year. We had a fabulous year last year in the north and the south, so I'm looking forward to working with the nations for our February Indigenous focused non-instructional day. And there's a slide later on this safe, caring and inclusive schools. So I'll wait till we get to that slide. This is a little more details around the supports I spoke about for literacy. We spoke about the learning tool already. Again, we have a opportunity to use some existing tools in September, knowing that in the coming years, there'll be one standardized tool. This is the grant we spoke about, and we will be happy to share that with the board when that's complete. And you'll see on the bottom that the assessment, you don't really like the word screening, that sort of sometimes can be interpreted as old school sort and select. That's not the purpose of this. This is meant to be formative, to help teachers and districts understand where kids are at and where we need to focus our energies to support our kiddos. And you'll notice that it is going to become a K-3 initiative. So with feedback from the field, we'll see where they land. Is it you can choose any time in that period? Is it grade 2? Is it grade 3? What does the research say, etc.? So more to come on that. I don't have any details at this time.
Chris, do we know, given that we're the Ministry of Childcare and Education, if that is going to go further back, like 3-year-olds to 3, so that we're screening them? Because I always found that when we screened our littles in the preschool programs, then we were able to help circumvent issues potentially for the kindergarten classrooms. So any advocacy pieces to help get that done sooner, rather than it just being K, since it is all encompassing what we're doing. So I just wanted to flag that one.
Yeah, my understanding is that this time it's a K-12 piece, but it depends, and there may be different kinds of assessments that could be used that are developmentally appropriate. So thank you for that.
Wait, you said that, okay, so the district's going to screen all, sorry.
All K-3 students. So the one that you were talking about that was ministry written, BC written.
Yeah,
But that's K-3, because I understood it was just kindergarten, but it's not. It's K-3. Or is it one of those screening tools where the numbers diminish as the kids get older, so you only test those that are still at risk in 1, 2, and 3?
Right. So at this point in time, they haven't given us that detail. So it's this is new for us as well, that it's K-3, because we were all initially under the impression it was just K. So as we learn more, we'll share. Sometimes in August, yeah, you get new slides and you're like, okay, I guess this is where we're going. So
First year, given us all.
Normally you would create the slides yourself, Chris, or am I just not remembering
yeah,
you
I
being
do
given
the
the slides?
ministry as
Okay,
well.
or maybe you didn't make it as clear that,
I didn't, because this year, for whatever reason, they were very clear that if you choose to share these slides, which you're welcome to, you must share them as is where is.
Okay.
Whereas before I was able to
edit.
them a little bit, so it
Got
wasn't as
it.
long. So full disclosure. Yeah. In case any ministry people watching, I'm following the rules. We spoke about the Indigenous focused non-instructional day. And again, just really humbled to be a district where we have been consulting with the communities we serve for years. So this is not a problem for us. And this is what I spoke about earlier. The ministry has consolidated, made some changes to their website, which I really appreciate. That all things, whether it's anti-racism, whether it's support for LGBTQ2A+ folks, whether it's for students with diverse learning needs, it's actually all under the umbrella of safe, caring, and inclusive schools for all. So it's well worth folks' time to go on the ministry website. We have the links obviously on our district site to just see how they're putting all their information together. So I will mention the Safe Access to Schools Act under policy. They have introduced for this school year the access zones. So if folks recall in those jurisdictions, unfortunately, where there were loud protests against SOGI and other things, the safe zones were established to keep, you have a right to protest, but you have to stay 20 meters away from entrances. They have reinstated that as of this school year. So those safe zones are back in place. Very grateful to the folks in our community who do recognize the importance of valuing diversity, and we obviously haven't experienced that, but I'm very thankful for those jurisdictions that unfortunately continue to, that this legislation is back in place for this school year. The mental health and school strategy, again, folks will continue to hear about that. That is mental health in school for everyone. That's inclusive of things like compassionate systems that we learned about earlier, wellness committees, etc. It's all sort of under the umbrella of mental health and wellness for all. Important note to parents, and we do share this each year, obviously, and throughout the year with our students, that if they are having any instances where they're feeling bullied because of race or other reasons, there is the anonymous erase report it tool for students to use. We do take that very seriously, and we are alerted whenever that is in play, and we have our procedures for following up on those. And for capacity building, we've shared this course out. Many of us in the room and across our district have taken this course, and we continue to invest in compassionate systems leadership. So I feel the district is well positioned to carry on the good work, knowing that this is ongoing work, and we're certainly not there yet, but it's the work and the right work. And that takes us to how we're aligning with those priorities. I've spoken to that a little bit already, so again, I'll try and go a little bit quicker. But I am again very, I just always like to take a moment to just pause on our enduring understandings, which I think really does position our non-negotiables, who we are, what we stand for. And while we might not always get it right, we're always willing to do better. So again, the understandings that inclusion is a right, diversity is a strength, and personalization is the way forward. I think holds us in good stead in everything that we do, and should be the foundation of all that we do. So, we mentioned the new strategic plan that is coming. So thank you very much to our communications officer, Jennifer Armstrong, who put this lovely graphic together. After getting a lovely graphic from our facilitator with our plan, Kevin Godin, but she made it our own. And this sort of shares where we're at right now. July, September, we've been working with Kevin, the senior team, on some pre-planning work. We've done some work with our principals, and we'll be moving into the other stages as we go. So I want to encourage everyone around the table and those listening at home to, again, look for those opportunities to get involved, be involved. We need your input, especially our students. So I won't go through all the stages. I'll leave that for folks to read on their own, but that's where we're at. We're, again, by June, we hope to have the celebratory launch of the new plan.
So I can sort of see it, but who's involved all the way along the way? Because I see we're already into the second one, which is September 2025.
Well, I will say that we are at the pre-planning, but we're not quite done September. So we've got some work that we're doing with Kevin actually next week around looking at just from our perspective at our it's called the gap analysis, to look at where we're at, not just to do with pedagogy and curriculum, but with finances, all those pieces. And then we will be doing some work with our leadership team in our schools, so our principals and vice principals.
So is that the aqua
well.
color?
That's the assessing.
The aqua color, okay.
And organizing. And then we check our thinking with the engaging and listening when we work with our internal and external groups. So from trustees to the EAs to First Nations, et cetera.
Okay. All right. So the trustees will be involved in the October, November.
Yes.
Because I just didn't see it in our calendar.
We haven't established those exact dates yet. We're trying to work through all our calendars as we speak, but we're going to ensure that there's lots of different opportunities, and ways to get involved. And I know this is a roadmap that looks linear. I want folks to think of it more about a circle, and we can always go back. So yeah, but it didn't work as a circle. There was too much text. So imagine this turn into a circle.
Can we have a standing item on the agenda just to talk about where you're at
Absolutely.
every meeting, through the year?
Thank you. Okay, well, again, I know we spoke in committee of the whole about the work plan and the work ahead. So respectfully, I just jotted down what we do each year in terms of what's in your work plan. Our strategic plan we just spoke about. We'll continue our in-person and online open board meetings. I think public really appreciates that opportunity. I do note, and it's something we do want to address, and I apologize for accessibility, because I just note that we don't have the closed captioned happening. So I wanted just to assure folks that we'll make sure. Is it? Oh, wonderful. Great. Thank you. Great. So that was a commitment we made from the accessibility committee recommendation. Oh, not online. I don't see it. So that's great. Okay, perfect. All right. I will just point out again the policies that the board will be reviewing. And I know the board will speak a little bit later about the new policy on the bottom there. And thank you in advance to the board for all their work. And for the public, this is just sort of the high level things that the board does. They do a lot more than is just on this page. And I just want to thank all of you for your commitment and service. For us at the district level, just as an overview, of course, Fessel, we're talking about a little bit later, really helps guide our work. in terms of how we're doing for our students with the data that we have. We are in our third year of our LEA with Leewat Nation, which we're very proud to be a part of that. And just a reminder that we have 2 program reviews this year. We'll be working very closely with the Squamish Nation for the cultural journeys and learning expeditions review at Statna School. And we'll also be completing our review of Sea to Sky Online this year. For the accessibility plan, we've added to our membership. We have CUPE, we have teacher rep, we have community representation, and our goal at our first meeting in October is to speak to, okay, now how do we get some student voice, and how do we do this in an equitable way so that we're hearing from students from across the district. So stay tuned for more information or updates on that wonderful committee. And then by department, again, I won't read all of the bullets. Gone over a lot of the priorities from the ministry, so you'll see a lot of the curricular items mirrored here. I think the really exciting thing, and maybe that's something Paul can jump in and share. I want to mention a change at Paul's sort of thoughtful initiation on how we're supporting our schools and our teachers with the instructional leadership team, the ILT. So can you just do a brief share on how we're expanding our support for schools?
Yeah, so I may have talked about this with the board in the spring, but now I can't recall if I did. So the ILT, as you know, is a group of teacher leaders who support schools. And so what we're going to look at doing this year is trying to place more of that support rather than it being a district service. We're trying to take some of the FTE that we put into the team and provide positions at each school where there's somebody who is a member of the teaching staff at the school who takes on a small assignment and they work with the administrative team at the school to help support the notion of instructional leadership at the school, support the growth plan at the school. So it does a couple of things that helps to expand capacity with teacher leadership, and it helps expand the administrative team and just provides additional another person to work on and support directly the school learning plan.
Does that mean we're giving the schools more money?
Does that mean we're giving them more money?
Yeah.
Well, instead of having a larger ILT, it's a smaller district ILT, and there's more ILT time at the school level. So it's an additional 1 day a week of staffing at the school.
Does it come out of the school budget?
No,
or?
it doesn't.
Okay,
We are
that's what
paying
I
for
wanted
it.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah, we are paying for it.
Okay. Perfect.
And then under technology, again, no surprise that in our tech plan, which is being reviewed and renewed for the next couple of years, cybersecurity and privacy concerns is at the forefront. And I'm really excited around the strides we've made last year into the summer and will continue this year on centralizing devices. It just makes sense from so many ways, not just from a financial point of view for procurement, but also from a digital literacy and responsibility, because we do endeavor. And again, if folks weren't following along if it's in the public, I think we spoke about this with the board before, but the plan is for every student that requires one, if they don't have their own device in grade 8 and up, will be given the Chromebook, and they will have that responsibility for that device. and they will carry that device with them through their grad program years, because we are buying robust devices, and it's the base of the strength of the internet in terms of its use. So we think this will not only ensure folks have access to quality devices, to access digital tools when and where necessary, but also build that responsibility. We learned from the past that if you just make things available, sometimes kids don't necessarily take as much responsibility for it. And we know that we've had some significant loss over the years. And this way we feel this will really cut that down. House on Secondary, thank you to that staff last year. They piloted this, and the stat, basically, I'm going to get the numbers rough because I don't have the exact numbers in my head, but I do know they went from a loss of about 160 devices down to, I think it was 4 last year. So, and it was the kids that were so done. We're moving forward, and just a shout out and thank you to all the teacher librarians at Don Ross, House Sound Secondary, Worcester Secondary, and Pemberton Secondary, who have been working with IT to ensure that we're cataloging, scanning serial number, etc., so we know exactly what we have and we can have a sustainable cycle in place. So I'm very proud of the efforts of the district to move there. It's something I've been advocating for a while, and we're gonna get there. That's super exciting. AI, I'll just mention, as I mentioned earlier, and maybe probably spoken about in policy committee, but I'll just mention it now. The Ministry of Education and Childcare is very much aware of the concerns and the promises of AI and curriculum and student achievement. And so we will continue to gladly engage in professional learning opportunities as they come. And I know that the board, as we mentioned earlier in the 700 series, will be reviewing our policy around technology use. And I know that AI will play a part in there. So I look forward to playing in that sphere with all of you. And we are continuing our commitment to our PVPs, clerical and counselors, around MyEd training, which is our student information system. As we recognize folks coming and going from our system, we want to make sure we have good succession planning in place so that there's smooth transitions to new folks. If folks retire or move around, that the trains keep arriving on time through MyEd.
Just on that MyEd piece, can we get some also parent training on how to make it a little easier to get their children's records for some of those that forget their passwords when everything is closed?
Yes.
I don't know how we do this, but there's gotta be a way.
Yes, I recognize, while there are, videos and step-by-step that we do put on the screen, it is nice sometimes to have an actual human on the other line helping you through. So I will take that back to technology and see what we can do about setting up some webinars or opportunities.
It's not that people don't understand the technology. There are problems with that program. Like from year to year, it like kicks you out, and then you have to so I had to log in, and poor Nolan, I think, emailed me on a weekend. I was like, why are you working today? And he figured, I just was hoping that somebody would help me eventually. But it's not the parents, it's the system.
Thank you. I would concur. Those of us been in the business for a while have been through a number of information systems, and each time, a new one comes, this is the one that will solve everything. And oh my goodness. So
chaos. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. So we're there to help, and appreciate everyone's patience, because yes, year to year there are sometimes glitches and sometimes glitches that keep happening. So we'll do what we can.
Is it a ministry mandated website that we have to use?
Yeah.
Or is
Yes.
it our district? Okay.
Yes.
This is common across Canada, I'm sure across the world
no.
with these systems.
It's
Well, there's.
No, issues with student information
Yeah.
systems, regardless of what jurisdictions choose
but
what
it's
thing.
something that we chose.
No.
That's gonna be going out for the contract for that is ending. They'll be doing an RFP for that.
Oh, gosh. Sometimes the devil, you know. Apologies, Fujitsu, if you're watching. Anyway. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the exciting business and financial. Speaking of keeping the trains running, lots of continued work on refining our systems. We continue to ask finance to look at how we can better ensure we're resourcing our schools and our district with the tools that we have. Here are the dates for our reporting, which will come up to the board, obviously. We did go through our audited financial statements and financial discussion earlier, which will be shared out a little bit later. So I will move on to operations. Here are submissions for the public's knowledge. And the reason, again, there's the check boxes beside each of these priorities is so then at the year end, I can report back to you and the public, how did we do? Were we able to, again, achieve those things we want to achieve? It's an ambitious submission, but we're very hopeful that these very needed infrastructure projects get approved, because we do want to ensure all of our places are fantastic places to learn and to work. And we spoke earlier a little bit about climate change, and just a reminder to the public and to the board that each year we do publish how we're doing with our energy use, our carbon footprint, etc. This is tied as well to the environmental sustainability policy that was approved last year. And just for everybody's knowledge, and again, so we can report back at the end of the year on our submissions through our annual facilities grant and the minor capital fund. So lots of ambitious projects. Are we sharing later the updates on Howsound Secondary Library and Worcester Secondary?
Yeah.
So I'll pause on that.
And Valley Cliff.
Yeah.
Don Ross Kitchen, yeah.
School food programs, we're in year 3 of Feeding Futures. And again, we learned over the summer that funding is now included in the base budget. So Feeding Futures is not going away until we hear that they're removing it. That got a big cheer in the room. So we are thrilled with that. Of course, we're thrilled with all the work that's been done this year. If folks haven't had a chance, if you're in Squamish, to stop by the farm between Howsound Secondary and Squamish Elementary, please go, please support. It is fantastic. Super excited about what's happening in Whistler as well, and Pemberton. So stay tuned for more exciting initiatives as we ensure that we have healthy food for our students and anyone in need in our school. Learning services, we talked about mental health in schools a little earlier. It's year 2 of the strategic plan. And again, a real focus on connection, belonging, substance use education, and really underpinned by compassionate systems, which is the idea that those that support our students need to be well themselves and need to ensure that they're having strategies for taking care of their mental health, so that when they are with students, the social field, as it's called, is a positive one. I will keep going. I think it's important to note we're super thrilled that we continue to have our collaborative model of support and our teachers in classrooms to ensure that we're continuing to support all learners. For early learning and childcare, spoke about this earlier, but just some details. Seamless day before and after school care at Brackendale will continue. Of course, we have a new space that will be opening up at Signal Hill, which is very, very exciting. And I spoke earlier about the Valley Cliff preschool. Here are the folks that we work very closely with. So I wanted to give them that shout out and thank you to their continued work with us. And then in the early learning sphere as well, really ensuring that when we're talking about balanced literacy and numeracy, that we don't lose sight of the importance of play, especially in discovery, especially at the early ages. Right now, again, our assessment tool for early literacy will continue to be the essential skills profile, or the ELP. And when that changes from the ministry, we'll replace that with the new one. And the changing possibilities for young children, that's always been a grant to, again, ensure that we're doing good work in welcoming students to school and at the early learning. That grant has, that funding has ended. But that doesn't mean that we won't continue with the important work that's being done. So that's new information as well in terms of change in grant. I'm assuming because they have to pay for the kindergarten assessment is going to be my assumption. And again, our literacy grant monies, applies again K to 12. So we'll certainly see some, restored initiatives and service out of those monies. But quick now, for Indigenous education. Just a reminder for the public and yourselves that our role as staff is to serve in a secretariat role. That is currently Sarah the Hamalayan. Thank you very much. And myself, while we search for our new director for Indigenous education. We spoke about the LEA earlier, that will continue obviously working closely with Squamish Nation on their protocol agreements. Our ILT positions for Indigenous education will continue. Thank you to the board for approving that expenditure, as well as the success advisor in the north that we fund. And the elder in residence program is something we've been trying to get off the ground for a while. We have that in pockets, but we'd love for that to be available to all schools. And there was a recent approval from the nations on some of the protocol agreement handbooks in terms of how do you invite and honor elders when they come to your schools. So looking forward to the rollout of that. Getting to the end for international education. Again, you have a board strategic plan for international education. And again, despite challenges with the availability for homestay, that is still an initiative, obviously, of the international education department. We welcome our international students. We know the value of interculturalization. And so I know they're hard at work to continue that good work. For human resources, we are again in a bargaining year. We don't have the dates for CUPE yet, and CUPE is also happy to work with us and have asked for performance and growth plans for themselves, for their members. So CUPE is working with HR on that, which I think is fantastic as valued members of staff. We want to continue to support their growth and learning. Wellness committee, I know Dave spoke about in an in-camera meeting, but I think it's important to share with the public that wellness committee continues, and that we will be looking for an opportunity to survey all of our staff again with a very insightful third-party tool, so that we can do our best to address any issues that come up and to support our amazing workforce. In terms of recruitment and retention, I should mention that Dave attended the first one at Simon Fraser University on Monday. And I did have the pleasure of standing for him for a virtual fair last year with SFU, and happy to report that a number of them remembered the presentation, apparently enjoyed it, And we're excited to ask about opportunities in our school district. So that was really nice to hear. That's my alma mater for my undergrad and my teacher program. So yay, SFU. And important to note that our initiative around ensuring representation from all walks of life is honored. So that's our diversity hiring initiative with the BC Human Rights Commission continues. Last but certainly not least, communications and media. So again, Jen Armstrong helms this and will continue to help us in the best way we can to support communications. Thank you to Celeste and Rachel, for our current members of our public relations, community engagement and communications committee. We'll continue to use that Connecting SD48 tool. That's been really useful, I believe, and should really help us in our consultation for strategic planning, annual budget development process, and anything else we need them for. We are continually getting feedback from the public. Thank you from our principals, from staff about how to ensure, again, our website is as useful as possible. That school websites are working the way they should. And again, we will endeavor to get information out early in advance of any weather concerns this winter, so folks have a really clear understanding. But I'll say it for the record, in the Sea to Sky School District, our schools are open. Okay, and that takes us to the end of my presentation. So thank you for the time. I know it's long, but I think it's important.
That's great. Thank you.
Great. Chris, thank you very much. It's a really fulsome report, and it's exciting to hear about the new initiatives that have come from the ministry and to see where we are with implementing those. And it's always great to have a recap about the things that we do and where we're at with our different initiatives. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the board for that report, and we'll look forward to seeing all of the boxes ticked off in June.
Thank you. And I'll share too that after this board meeting, by the end of the week, this will be available on the minutes of the board meeting as a PDF. So folks can go
Yeah.
back and take some more time with it.
That's
Yeah.
terrific. I was going to say, maybe if we all take a little bit of time to digest all of the information that we heard, and then look back on the slides if need be and reflect. And then if there's any questions that come up, we can ask those in the near future.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific. All right. That brings us to our receiving delegations, of which we have none. Trustee items, of which I see none, which brings us to item number 7, which is our board committee reports. And our first committee report to report out on is from the committee of the whole. And at that meeting, we had a discussion about our trustee calendar and upcoming events, lots of things to look forward to in the future, where advocacy work could be done by the trustees. We talked about our engagement calendar, which is very similar to our trustee calendar, and the school learning plans, which again are opportunities for trustees to engage with our staff and principals and teachers at the schools and discuss how things are looking at the schools and what the initiatives are that each school is working on. So that's a lovely opportunity. We discussed our education topics for trustees and reviewed policy 501, which is student registration, so very timely as we're in September. And then we discussed the BCSTA provincial council meeting, and at that meeting we discussed the opportunity to draft a motion to take to provincial council, discussing the requirement of the school district to have AEDs and that I can't ever say that word, naloxone, naloxone in the schools. And I think what our discussion revolved around was creating some kind of an emergent motion to take to provincial council, and we just needed to draft the language at this meeting.
It's already done.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It
Okay.
later on in the agenda.
Oh, great. I don't have the rights. Okay, I have the other screen up. Thanks, Celeste. Okay. Where?
Action items.
It's under actions.
Oh, okay, terrific. Okay, great. So that language is drafted. Good. Okay, I'm using the photocopied version, but now I also have the computer screen version up. Lovely. Okay, so that was everything. Oh, and then we had a brief conversation about board engagement, which was around the idea of additional methods for trustees to engage with the schools in our district. And there was some really clever ideas that came from that I'm sure we'll look forward to implementing in the future. And with that is sort of a brief summary of the committee of the whole meeting. We have a recommendation, but are there any comments or questions before we go to that? Okay, seeing none, there's a recommendation.
That the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on June 18th, 2025 be accepted.
Thank you, Lisa, and a seconder for that. Rachel, thank you so much. Any further discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Okay, then we had our policy committee meeting. Again, a really fruitful meeting, lots of excellent discussion. The highlights of that meeting included a look at our policy review schedule. We discussed which policies are up for review this year, and then a discussion item about a policy which we've been mandated to implement from the Ministry of Education and Childcare pertaining to unexpected health emergencies. And we do have a policy that is drafted up for that, which will be included in our policy manual in the very near future. So that's what was discussed there. And we have a recommendation coming out of the policy committee.
That the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on June 18th, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Lisa. And a seconder. Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion? And seeing none, any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. And finally, we had a meeting of the Finance Committee this morning where we reviewed the financial audit statement from our auditors and talked about the financial statements and variance analysis, which is another document which presents the financial information of the board. And these are available online through links through the agenda if people are interested in taking a look at those. And then we passed three motions. We passed the motion to adopt the audited financial statement as well as the financial statement discussion and analysis. And we also had a discussion about the minor capital plan and passed a motion to approve that plan and cross our fingers really tight that we receive monies we've requested to improve our capital in the school district. So anything else we need to add to that? Okay, let's go ahead then. There's a recommendation
That the minutes of the finance committee meeting held on June 18th, 2025 be accepted.
Thank you, Lisa, and a seconder for that. Thank you, Rachel. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any opposed? Seeing none, that's also carried. Finally, we have the Public Relations, Community Engagement and Communication Committee.
We haven't met since we last reported.
Okay, that makes good sense as we're just at the very beginning of the year. And we did have a very good communication from Chris just moments ago. All right, that brings us to Business Arising, which there is none. And what I've been looking forward to under information items, B, our Assistant Superintendent, Paula Wright. Please give us an update on the enrollment.
All right, well, I'm glad you've been looking forward to it.
I have been.
That's great. Okay, so I just want to remind everyone that this is very preliminary. So this is all based on just incoming reports from schools about how their enrollment is looking in the opening days of school, and is not official. And these numbers are dynamic. As a matter of fact, the high school numbers, this week, the high schools are all still working with their students to determine what kinds of activities, clubs, societies, or courses that are going to be taken outside of the timetable. So the FTE could very well increase based on those kinds of things. We just don't have that information yet. So this is all based on just the number of students in our schools. And as I say, this is certainly subject to change. So if you could go to the next slide, Archie, please. So this is not including international. This is resident students only, and this is also not including Sea to Sky Online. So we projected 5,146, and we are up 30 from that at this point at 5,176. So again, this is not representing our end of the month enrollment that our budget is based on. This is just a snapshot of our first week of school.
And Paul, sir, do you mind if I ask, this is a head count?
This is the number of students, yes. Not FTE. And if we can go to the next slide. Okay, so K to 6, this is what it looks like. We are up 28 students district-wide from our projections. And next slide, please. So for the middle years, we are actually down 9 from what we projected. And finally, 10 to 12, we are up 11. So that's a total of 30 students up. So perhaps our projections this year were a little less conservative than they have been in the past. They're pretty close, Yeah, but again, that could change, and that could increase as students at the secondary level are choosing their X block courses. And also keep in mind, this is not including international or SSO. And if we can go to the next slide, please. This is just an international summary. So last school year, we had a total of 149 FTE. This year, we are at this time confirmed for 135. And we know as a result of our review last year that our capacity has kind of gone down slightly because Howe Sound Secondary, our numbers, our resident numbers are coming up. And so the school doesn't have as much physical space to accommodate a larger number of international students. So we've had to reduce that somewhat. Not much, but we've also increased our capacity in Pemberton. So Pemberton is up about 9 students this year. And that's great. I mean, that's certainly helps. So that's really it. That's our informal enrollment update for the first week of school.
Thank you so much, Paul. That's terrific.
You're welcome.
Great. Good to know. Let's move on to item B, summer facilities project update, and I'll turn that over to Danielle.
Thank you. Are you able to pull up the? Okay, I'm gonna do my best, but this is put together by our director of facilities, so. You want me to pull it up instead? Okay. So I'm gonna give you a quick update here. This is an update on our AFG and our minor capital progress. So, for our AFG for the 25-26 year, we had put, budgeted $10,000 for the derelict teacher demolition. And this project is now put on hold due to the expensive archaeological study that's required to do the demolition, which far exceeds the amount we put aside. So it's on hold for now. At Don Ross, there's two projects. The kitchen improvements, they're very close to being complete at 95%. That's to help with our Feeding Futures program. And also there were some door replacements, which has been completed. At Squamish Elementary, we've put aside $10,000 to help put up, there's a structure and that's going to be built by Squamish Can close to the farm. And also there's going to be some extra gardening maintenance there.
I think the key phrase I got excited by, if I may, was they're gonna put in, I think, they're gonna do the mud kitchen for the elementary students. So that's pretty exciting. For those of you who know what a mud kitchen is, where you can just play in the mud and make your patties and talk about nutritious food while making mud pies.
I didn't even know
I
about
want to
that.
be there.
Okay.
But anyway.
We'll see what it looks like.
That day.
Note to parents, yes.
Okay, and then Howe Sound Secondary, the functional improvements to the library, so 98% complete. That's pretty much done.
Can I speak to that? I had the pleasure of throughout the summer just checking in, even when I was on holiday, because I wanted to make sure we were honoring the space for the kids. And I will actually ask Aaron to maybe put out an invitation. If folks are around and available, you need to see, they did a wonderful, wonderful job. I know there were concerns. This was the need for 2 classrooms. And we all know what happened when we were investigating the portable. This is so much, I can't tell you how pleased I am with how it turned out. They were able to reconfigure space in the back of the library where other offices were to expand the library, where they lost space to 2 classrooms, more functional spaces for the work of the teacher librarian. Big, beautiful, airy, big windows, an exterior door for one of the classrooms. Yeah, new flooring throughout, so no more carpet, but really lovely laminate flooring like at the Pemberton library. And I can tell you that it is now the coveted classrooms where teachers and kids want to be. So if you do have an opportunity, I'll work with the principal. Work with the principal to do an invitation, because I think it's well worth seeing. And I think that the folks, obviously our own folks, but also the folks that we contracted, deserve some kudos, because they just finished it really, really beautifully within the budget that we had. So I'm really pleased, and I will say it now publicly. This was for the bump in enrollment, and we're anticipating it will level out. If not, it will decline. So there may not be a need for those classrooms, and this is made so that it can actually go back to library space. But I'll say it now, they're not going to want to go back because they have a beautifully functional library and 2 gorgeous classrooms.
Where's the library?
Still there.
I don't know if you recall the plans that were shared by Ian at a prior board meeting, but it was at the back of the library. About a third in is now been divided into 2 beautiful classrooms. But again, because of the reconfiguration of the back rooms and the generosity of the Squamish Nation for some improvements, functional improvements to the First Nations room, we were able to get some odd space back from them as well. So anyway, I will just stop there and say, please come take a look. I think it's when you have right work in mind, and you do it with good intention, and you listen to Jackie Sutherland, the teacher librarian, about what they need and kids need, you end up with a lovely project.
Go ahead, Lisa, and then Slash.
I'd like to point out, I did have the pleasure of speaking with 2 Howe Sound Secondary School students. I guess on Tuesday, and they were telling me that the classrooms are great. And they actually knew, I was so impressed because they were able to tell their parent beside me what all the issues were with if they had gotten portables. They articulated it brilliantly, and the mother was like, whoa, really? That's what's going on. And so they were so well educated. There was nothing like unkind said, but there was a lot of, they knew exactly why they couldn't have their portable. They knew exactly why it had to happen, and they were pleased with the outcome. So
I'll share
I
that with the
thought,
administration because I know they worked hard to be transparent and clear with the student body. So thank you for that.
Go ahead, Glenn.
I just want to reiterate a discussion that we had earlier today, and to say thank you to the staff for completing this project on time, on budget, and to commend the project management that is happening within the school. Just for the benefit of the public who might not have seen our earlier meeting, these projects are really difficult. We all know that the cost of building materials is constantly rising, and our staff are still managing to do these projects on time and within budget. So thank you again.
I'll share that with the facilities. Thank you.
Mm,
And then Danielle, if you want to continue,
okay.
turn it back to you.
No worries. Yeah. The next item is at Mount Quam Elementary. There's been some targeted roof repairs or some leaking. So they've been doing some patching that's ongoing. And the next one is at Pemberton Secondary School. There's in the shops area, there's been a makeup air handling unit installed, and that's in process. And then there was over the summer there were some repairs made to the portables. So I think there's just some leveling out of the portables that was done over the summer. So I think it's pretty much complete. At Statmas, we completed the window replacement, so that was for the whole school. Unlike some of the other window replacements where they did half the school, because Statmas is smaller, we were able to do the windows for the whole school.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's good and working well so far. At Signal Hill, portable ramp stairs, that's in progress. At Valley Cliff, there was the kitchen. I guess it's pretty much complete. Some kitchen improvements there. At WSS, Whistler Secondary School, everybody's aware of the fitness room. It's complete. It looks really good.
So it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I did check that out. So just thank you to PAC. I think it's important to note again. I know we mentioned it last year, but PAC did raise the monies to outfit the fitness room as per the staff and student requests. And again, another opportunity. We'll be there actually in October.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get
Check it out.
yes, we should make
Yeah.
sure that we get a little field trip there to see it. It looks so much bigger than what you think. And I know it's going to be popular. I know they got it done again.
Yeah.
As Celeste said, big kudos to the team. Amazing.
So Chris, I'd also like to point out, thank you for going in and checking on the projects as well. Like that is such an important piece of your role, and it coming back and giving us that trust that these things have been done and done properly when we can't get there all the time. I think it's really important that you are taking that initiative to make sure that you are there and checking in on these projects. It is really important, I think, to the whole organization. So thank you.
Okay, next, painters' wages. So one of our painters, his full salary, the full salary comes out of our AFG, annual facilities grant. As a requirement of health and safety this year, we're required to have first aid dressing stations for anywhere there's like a mechanic's shop. So we have one here, and then we also have one at the bus garage in Pemberton. So at the bus garage in Pemberton, that's nearly completed. And the one here, actually, it's going to be next door, where the first aid room is going to be, and that's nearly complete as well. And in this building, we've had 5 air handling units replaced, and that was quite expensive. That was on its last legs. And they've done lots of fixes to try to extend the life, and it was just it needed to be replaced, so that was replaced over the summer. For minor capital projects at Statmas, the boiler plant upgrade, which is phase 2, is at 90% complete. I believe they finished the phase 1 last year. And Myrtle Phillip, the HVAC upgrade phase 2 is in progress. Should be complete this fall. And Don Ross, the kitchen upgrade, I think we already had that up above, is 95% complete, and Valley Cliff 95% complete for the kitchen upgrades. And what was mentioned earlier in our finance committee meeting, that we were given money for an accessible playground for Squamish Elementary, and even though we were given the money, it takes a while to get everything in place. So we're hoping to have that complete in the spring of next year.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that report. And again, it's really impressive to see so many projects come to completion when you think really there's only 10 weeks in the summer, maybe 9 weeks in the summer to get all of that work done when there's no students in the buildings. And to be able to do that and to have them come in on budget and ready for kids when they walk in the door and staff for the first day of school is really remarkable. So thank you to the team for their hard work there. I think our schools are looking like they're in good stead, being well cared for and taken care of. It's also really impressive, I think, to note that many of these upgrades that we do not only work to save the district money in energy costs, like when we replace windows, for example, but also our carbon emissions are being reduced significantly with a lot of these improvements as well. So fantastic work there, and a thank you to everyone. We'll move on now if there are no other comments. I don't see any. To Superintendent Nicholson with an update on video surveillance report.
Yes, I hope folks had an opportunity to review the information that was provided. I will share this information. This is the work of Ian, who gave me the draft, and then we worked together to complete it. So thank you, Ian Curry, for all your work on this. And just to remind the public, this was brought from the public at our last board meeting about a small little part in this big policy about annual reports about video surveillance. And it is not something that we had done at a public meeting. And so we will start doing that now. And really, it's just to ensure that we're following policy around the use of video surveillance in our schools. We have responsibilities around privacy to ensure that in any place where we have video cameras and equipment for video surveillance, that we have proper procedures for its use, its review, its storage, and its deletion after time. And I can tell you, while we haven't reported on this year after year, obviously we have our things in place. Our facilities team takes this very seriously. Our principals are trained in, again, its use. They have to follow administrative procedures about what video surveillance can and can't be used for. So I want to just present sort of the overview so folks can see why we have video surveillance, where we have current cameras. So we list all the schools and its locations. We are responsible to ensure that there is signage, which there is. So if you're in our schools and you see a camera, you should also be able to see this, indications that this is under surveillance. Its use, of course, is to deter vandalism, theft, unsafe behavior. And yes, at times to support investigations if there are concerning incidences where we use the video surveillance to ascertain if there are concerns and charges. So we do follow our privacy and legislative rules, and they're for the public to see. What I will note is, you know, unfortunately or fortunately, it is a tool that we do need to consider. And when and where possible and as budget allows, from time to time, we may say, we think we'd like to, right, upgrade a system, or it's reaching end of life. So we'll put budget items in there. And if we want to ever install more cameras or have other sites with cameras, that would be a discussion at the table, because there's a cost involved, but also we would do a full information, a notification out to those communities affected, because this is not meant to be secret. It's not meant to be hidden. It's right out there in the open.
Great. Thank you for that update, Chris. All right. Okay, thank you. That brings us to item D, attachments with their media reports and field trips. I'll let people peruse those as they feel they would like, and move to our policy motions. We have unexpected health emergencies, the policy around that. Chris, did you speak to that earlier in this meeting? I thought so, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, we did speak to that earlier in this meeting, and so now there's a recommendation.
That the Board of Education adopt policy 304, unexpected health emergencies as presented and with changes as discussed.
Thank you. And April, do you second? Thank you so much. Any further discussion on that policy? Seeing none, I'll ask if anyone is opposed. Seeing none, that motion is carried. So thank you so much on getting that done. I know that was something that came from the ministry and we were required to implement right away. So that's great that we have that done, and that we're really kind of ahead of the game anyhow.
4 months.
Yeah, lovely, lovely.
Just really quickly, I can. Just to say that the discussion that was had on this is recorded in the policy committee meeting.
Yes, yes.
So for anyone that's interested in the more lengthy discussion that we had earlier in the day, you can click on the video link for the policy committee meeting.
Great. Yeah, of course. Thanks so much, Celeste. Okay, that brings us to our agenda item E, action items. The first one is the Framework for Enhanced Student Learning Report, and I'll turn that back to you, Chris.
Okay, I think, do you want to share? It's easier. Okay. So as shared earlier in my very lengthy year-ahead presentation, the Ministry of Education continues to make changes to the Framework for Enhancing Student Learning, which is a report that is required for the Ministry of Education for all school districts. And we used to, in the last 3 years, I believe, have to put together, which we actually enjoyed creating, quite a comprehensive report on who we are, what we're about, and how we're doing around student learning and well-being. The ministry has changed course a little bit, giving feedback from the field to move to a 3-year cycle where a district can do 2 yearly snapshots, and then in the 3rd year, a more comprehensive report. They have provided a ministry template that we must use. So I assume there will be iterative changes to this template as well. We did add some flourishes because it was a very, again, no offense to the ministry, but a very dry template. So with Jen's help and my search for free images, we did try to make it a little more sea to sky by adding some pictures and color to each of the reports. So maybe I'll just start by just honoring the first part is to honor Squamish, and so that is a scene in Squamish and surrounding areas, and the second part is from the north is Pemberton and just honoring that landscape. So again, this is the template. So as we move through it, it's quite dry. I recognize. So I'll just have you just slide down to the index. where this was if folks recall, the ministry is looking at some specific outcomes in specific areas. So intellectual development and career development for the purpose of this snapshot. And this is specific to and only referencing those ministry level assessments. So the work we did in the past, and we continue to, of course, monitor and have data on in terms of our district level assessments and measures and outcomes that we always keep attention to, are not part of the snapshot. It's only the ministry provided. So when we look at literacy, if you want to scroll down, you'll note that it can be quite hard. Oh, sorry, I should state, this is the ministry notes, the ministry language that explains what the FESL is, and the what's required. Again, in past reports, we just had the link, and we explained the link on our website. And I will say, for folks that are interested, the link on our website under FESL is actually much clearer. I think the ministry did a lovely job on their outfacing website. I think this doesn't do it justice, because it can be a hard to read graphic with a very odd choice of color for the text box of the green. But I'll stop being critical and maybe just get into the stats. Well, I'll be critical, I guess, because in the data that's shared, as we keep going down through, it's just saying why we do what we do. This is the table and the table graphs that are provided by the ministry that we're not able to change. We'll put the request in to use our graphics instead. I recognize for the public and for the board that while the table in front of us is relatively easy to read, the graph is really difficult. So
Can you zoom in a bit? Sorry.
Pardon me?
Can you-
Yeah, I'm going to
you
go
mind?
into my own version because it's hard for me to see on the screen as well. But I think what's important.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's important, that's lovely. What's important to note is it does show the 5-year trend for each of these areas. And again, I think it's a very important point to make that in our district, we really encourage and ensure that as many students as possible, regardless of any real or perceived difference, does take part in these assessments. Again, I will mention that FNESC, the body that speaks for First Nations and all things legal, year after year after year, stress the importance of the FSAs and the grad assessments as the only provincially mandated standardized assessment tool. So we know how students are doing on these measures. And I put the note in the language. I won't go through it page by page, but because we're a district that believes in participation, what you do note compared to other jurisdictions is our outcomes are often lower. But that is because we do not say, if you have a learning disability or a learning difference, don't write, it's okay. That does happen in many other jurisdictions. So that's just a really important point, that this is a snapshot of all the students' outcomes individually at this time. And of course, I'll just say for the record, I believe our graduation rates do speak to the work that we do with all students throughout K-12 to ensure we have, students with quality graduation. We know we can do better, especially for priority populations. But I just want to point that out, that the participation rate is very important. And just before I answer a question, in terms of masked, it's also important to note, and again, I speak to it in the text, but I'm not going to go through it text by text. Masked by law is around privacy. When you have a small number of students, if you state the number, you could actually figure out who that is. So just for the board's note, we know who those students are. Obviously, we have their names. We know how they're doing. And we're happy in a closed session if you ever have concerns, right? What about our children in care? how many do we have and how are they doing? We can share that with you in camera because it needs to be in confidence. So it's just important to note that. And I do note that in the write-up. You actually see it many times in my write-up where I mention why certain students are masked. It's not to hide the data, it's to protect privacy. And it's from the ministry. They provide it in this manner, but we internally, of course, know exactly who those students are, except sometimes for children in care because the ministries still don't communicate. This is a big ask of FNESC as well, and all of us, that we do need better communication channels, because unless we're informed, which we aren't always are, we won't actually always know if a child is in care or not. For the ones that we do know, we have the data, but we don't have 100% accuracy because that isn't shared with us, and we feel that it should be shared, even if it's just with Phil, right? And senior team for learning services, because we do need to make sure we're focused on these vulnerable students. Not that all students in care are vulnerable, that's also not the case, but just so we know the stories of all of our kids. Okay.
I just, it wasn't really a question, Chris, just a comment that, yeah, I agree. Like, we are a district that has a pretty high percentage of participation rates. Unfortunately, that information isn't widely known. And so, like, I mean, we all know that they use these numbers to sell real estate and all the things that they do. And it's unfortunate because even as out walking my little doggy, I get people, conversations about how come the FSA results in Sea to Sky are so low, and how come. And it's frustrating. Actually, it's really frustrating.
And look at the number for students of Indigenous ancestry and designations. I'm going to point out highest ever, 95% last year, 100% of all students of Indigenous ancestry, regardless of whether on reserve or not, did the assessment.
Yeah.
84% of students with designations. That does not happen. So thank you for stating that. And it's something we say at every ministry meeting, that it deserves recognition. So we'd like that known, because if we were to disaggregate, of course, we're going to have different results.
Yeah.
But so what? That's not the point. All kids deserve quality education. So thank you you've got it as a board. So thank you. Yeah. So now as we do go down, then we see the sobering, just the point that you see in some of our population. This is a terrible, it's very hard to read. All the different, each color represents a different year. with the thank you. With the yellow square being the provincial average. So while it looks concerning, and we are concerned, just with that context piece, it's just really important. It's not as meaningful as it may first look like, because I know we ensure all of our kids, right, so that we can support them better. So at your leisure, I know that folks haven't had probably time to read the whole report over the last couple of days, but we do, if you just scroll down, the template is made up of 2 parts. We'll just keep going down from literacy, same thing, 100%, 84, there we are. Our literacy is higher. So it's interesting that the focus is on literacy a lot at the ministry level. But what we're seeing is actually numeracy, which is why in our year ahead, it's balanced literacy and numeracy. So we're not ignoring numeracy, because we know, thank you, ministry, but we also know numeracy is so very important.
I'm really happy.
There might be some politics involved
happy we're
in
making
those
a difference.
priorities. So, little nicer of a graph here for literacy, but still work to do. And then as we go down, this is grade 10, and again, if you just pause for a moment, right? We again have high rates of participation, but please note that students have multiple times to write the grade 10 literacy. So this is the snapshot for this year. If the student didn't do well or missed it in grade 10, they can write it in grade 11. So we're looking to the ministry, how do we track that, right? Because I'd love to see the progress of a student who took it in grade 10 and decided, you know what, I'm more confident now, I'm going to write it again in grade 12 and let's see how I do, right? Because there's 2 assessments, grade 10 and 12, but you can write it multiple times, which I do appreciate. It's just not, I think they're still working through how do we capture that information. So again, it's not that the students won't write it because they need to graduate. So it doesn't mean we're missing 9% of students. It just means at this snapshot time, they hadn't done it yet, written it yet. Okay, keep going. We go to our results. And then what the next couple of pages are, and just hang on for a second. If you scroll down a bit, the first page, and yes, it's limited to 1 page, is analysis, which is supposed to be just objective information. So this states what we're doing with a little bit of context about the need for masking. And then we just go through, here are actual percentages. You'll see at times, if I had some room, I did have a little bit of an editorial flourish, but that is more in the second page, which is the interpretation. So sorry, I'm going too quick. Can you just back up a little bit? I just wanted to share how it's broken up. And again, this is available to the public as well. Once I think it requires approval, but there's the, can you go up to the top where it says number 1? So the way it's broken up, here we go. It's just some key context, trends that we see year over year, and then comparisons. And the comparison is to the province. And again, I do speak to the high participation rate right away as the second bullet, because it's important to keep that in mind. Yeah,
Gets lost.
it sure does. Okay.
Chris, the last line there, and students with designation.
Yep.
From 63% to 39%. Could you just explain that?
100%. So in many districts, if a student is on an IEP where they are doing grade 1 level literacy and they're in grade 4, we still have them right. If they're in grade 10 and they're on an IEP with significantly different learning outcomes, we still want to give them the opportunity. Let's show me your thinking. What can you do? So we obviously support our students in feeling good about what they can achieve, but we pretty much have, again, super high participation rate. So I will tell you that is a cohort piece where we have some students with some more significant learning needs, where that wouldn't necessarily be surprising to us. So that's why we also don't want to celebrate a year that, oh my goodness, look at all the kids that got 70% or 75% if they have a designation. Maybe you don't have a lot of students at that grade level that have more significant learning issues. So of course they do better. So again, because we ask everyone to take part, it has an impact on our results. And we do need to strengthen our numeracy work. Yeah. Because we are still struggling with the shift, even for our teachers. So we're providing obviously professional learning opportunities, that shift from how we used to teach math. And now it's so much more critical thinking, problem solving, word problems, problems of like inquiry type stuff. It's not the, memorizing your multiplication tables and memorizing algorithms. So how math is being assessed has changed to align with the competencies. We know we're not there yet in our pedagogy across the board. So that does continue to be a challenge for us, and it's something we know we need to work on.
And it does align with the way the FSA is.
Yes.
The FSA now is the critical thinking assessment.
Yes.
As much as it is a math.
Yes,
assessment.
and the grad assessments as well. So I'll just share, we had a lovely first meeting. Thank you, Paul and Pam, for facilitating that yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day for yesterday, the ILT meeting? And we spoke a little bit about this, and our wonderful teacher leaders recognize that, you know what, we need to, let's delve deeper into our FSAs. Let's see what's actually going on, right? Because it is an aligned assessment now, and can use it as a wonderful tool for student learning. Okay, we can go on. So this is the second part, which is the interpretation. So this is where we say, here's what we're noticing when we're speaking to how students of Indigenous ancestry are doing. I absolutely recognize that performance gap is still in place and is actually declined in some areas. And again, lots of factors. It's COVID, there's cohort, there's all kinds of things. But I think what it points to is the importance of, again, that deep culturally responsive support, right? Like how are we with all the incredible work that we do, what's missing? How can we engage better? So we recognize this. This is a trend across the province. And so as our achievement in some of these measures has deepened, so too has the whole province. This is a slide that's happening, and it's something, again, we take very seriously. And though I still will mention the factor that we have everybody to participate does have that impact too. And the nations are in full support of doing it this way, which I'm really thankful for, collaborating with them. Yeah, now there's some bright spots too. What we noticed with students with designations in grade 7, we're actually close to the provincial average, which, again, considering that everybody writes, that's something to be happy about. But again, cohorts have so much of a difference, right? When you have a small N, it's all about who are the little kiddos in front of us and valuing them for who they are. And it's really more about, well, where'd you start and how far have you come?
Yes.
Rather than where are you on a bell curve, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I think we can keep going. I kind of spoke to what our strengths and areas for growth were. And when I say I should say this was shared with senior team and our directors of instruction. So this isn't just my work. I think it's important to state. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then there's a part again about equity populations, which again, I really believe this is who we aspire to be. And we're gonna keep going. So, yeah. And then the next is numeracy, which I spoke about a little bit. And again, I want to point out our participation rates: 94, 98, 100, 97, 78. So I think those are amongst the highest we've ever been. So again, that's showing we're getting support from our families too, because sometimes there's pressure for families to pull their kids. So just want to thank the whole learning community for this. This is amazing, because we know who these students are and where they're at. And that said, we have some concerning results in numeracy, which I spoke to. You can scroll up. Sorry, scroll down. This is a horrible graph again. But I'll point out, scroll, can you go to the year just a little bit, scroll a little bit back up so I can see the top of that graph?
No.
I get confused myself. Yes, what color is that? Pink? I don't know.
Yeah.
2024, 25.
Oh, sorry, pinky red. 24-25 is the current year. So you can see we have seen a slide with some variation, but it is concerning. And I would say if you scroll down now to there we go. So again, just the last column, resident students with designations. So yes, it's lower, but again, your cohort, we've got more students with more significant learning needs at that grade level. So that's actually not surprising.
But
Makes
But
these are included in the number, all.
yeah,
These are included in the numbers of all resident students. It's just separated out and
Yeah,
broken
so the
out.
first-
So they're
the left is the
included.
first one, and then disaggregated
Yeah,
as you go from left to
yeah.
right. Thank
So as an entire, in our
Sure.
entirety, it's not.
No, it's actually along and above.
The curve.
Yeah,
And we're
Some
having
kids-
everybody
Yes.
almost everybody participate.
that's right. And it's our priority populations, those just ancestry that I really know we need to pay attention to, because 32%, oh no, sorry, what's
Designation.
masked? Sorry, resident students, there it is.
Yeah.
42% is concerning when it's 62. Everybody all inclusive, so that's a 20% gap.
Right.
We see this year over year every year, and we haven't cracked it yet.
Mhm.
And it's something we're very much aware of. Okay, we can keep going down or up. Is it down? I don't know. Down. Okay, it's grade 7 again. 95, 92, 100, 89, 84. Doing great.
Wow.
Oh, that's everybody participating. So all students on reserve, which, by the way, according to FINESC, is the group less represented provincially and the one they're most concerned about. We're 100%.
Good.
So I'm very happy, and that's thank you to the nations too. Yes, and those families to trust their kids with us to write these assessments. Okay, keep going down, please. Here's numeracy, how we're doing. So again, you can see we've got some work to do. And we do see, right, again, information is masked, unfortunately, but you can see some variability over the years, from resident students to those with designations to students of Indigenous ancestry. So we do note a decline, as does the province. So we're tracking provincially, which doesn't make us an outlier, but within that, because we do have all students pretty much right, we have those lower results. Okay, which is why, again, numeracy continues to be a focus for us.
Do you have any, just out of curiosity, any information about how many other school districts pushed for 100%?
You know what? We haven't done that analysis yet, but we certainly will. Yeah.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Okay, let's keep going down. I know I'm taking a lot of time, but this is our work. Again, we spoke about the graduation assessments before around participation, and that this is just a snapshot. Please keep going. There we go. So again, you see that in some years we're well above the average. In other years we're slightly below, or it's masked. So again, I think this also helps show, while we still have work to do, despite where they were in grade 4, we do see, right, some more proficiencies as they go up through the grades, which is thanks to our teachers' work and our support staff. Keep going, please. Okay, so transition is these are just numbers of students at each grade level, disaggregated by population. So this is just our kids actually passing from grade to grade. You can scroll down. This has never been an issue for us, nothing of two concerns. If we do have students that didn't transition, we know why. Usually it's health related, be it physical or mental health, and we put in supports for that. So we're again at or well above the provincial average for our transition rate from grade to grade, from grade 10 to 11. Keep going up. Okay, 11 to 12. These are just the numbers broken down in terms of how many. Yeah, you can keep going up. So here's our transition rates. Again, we have very healthy transition rates from grade to grade, which is really great to see. And again, that's due to lots of factors which are in the interpretation. So, you know, we have our credit recovery, for example, when you're in the grad program, the supports to get kids through to the next grade, and obviously all the work of administrators and the student support services. Keep going down. I won't spend time on the analysis because I spoke to it as we went through, but I'll leave that at your leisure. Again, just objective. This is what it is. These are the numbers in terms of our context. And this is based on grade 4, 7, 10 literacy, numeracy, and grade to grade. So it's a lot of information at once. All those graphs distilled into 1-page limit with small fonts and narrow margins. Keep scrolling down. And then we again speak to the trends, what we notice, where we see some positivity, and where we might have some concerns, and then the comparisons to the districts. And I feel I spoke to that already. Okay, we're gonna keep going on the interpretation. There we go. So just now, what are we seeing? I think, you know, I didn't want to keep belaboring the high participation rate, but I did want to ensure that, again, I'm really happy that we have high participation. You know, we do, the access points are there, engagement, but we need to work on those supports, like what's happening, so we can ensure we get them through and that we're not just catching them up in grade 11 and 12. Super thankful for the support for the ongoing math initiative that we have, right? Where we're providing that extra support for students so they can do foundations, which we know is the ticket to more opportunities if they choose. But we know we can strengthen our work at the elementary and middle years of those transition points. If I may, we'll keep scrolling down. Feel like I spoke to our strength and areas for growth already, just hammering the fact that all students are capable. And ongoing our focus on equity and inclusion. Keep going through. Yeah, there's a point about continuing to collaborate and listen to Indigenous voices. So very important. And ensuring that our professional learning, that we have those opportunities, right, for culturally responsive curriculum. And that what we teach in the South may not be the same as in the North, because those are two distinct nations. Okay, keep going. Okay, and then this is on our safe, the belonging stuff. This is based on the surveys. Not as, I mean, again, compared to the province, very high participation rates, but I'm happy these are relatively high, but really yeah, we're getting better in places. We go up and down, but I'd really love all folks to participate. And I was curious as to the why, like what's happening for some of our folks. Keep going. Now, this is one that's provided to families, right? And there's some time in school, but if you don't do it, then it is open for kids. So there's maybe some community supports we can do there. And then this is, can you scroll down a little bit so I can see the title? I think this is the positive. No, sorry, to what the title is. Is this the safe and caring? Yes, yeah, feel welcome. So we're in blue for this year, and I'm relatively happy with that. Kids are feeling relatively welcome. It's interesting to see again how we sort of at times mimic provincial, and sometimes we don't. So could be on the day they did. We know what the little ones could be on the day that they did the survey. If they got in trouble for doing something, they might not feel so welcome. Teacher had a big smile and remembered they played soccer on the weekend. We all know that, you know, there's all these pieces, but in aggregate, it's a good indicator. Let's go, keep going. I'm going to bypass the, okay, here we go. This is, now this is great. This is grade 4, 7, and 10. This is, I feel safe most or all of the time. That's what a positive response is. And it's great to see we actually hit our highest last school year. So the work I think we've been doing with compassionate systems, I actually want to believe it's having an impact. So that's great. Keep going. There's our sense of belonging. Yeah, that's right.
It's getting better.
Yep. So there's where we're at over the span. And here's the adult care.
Oh.
About them. So it's interesting. I can't recall, was that 2021? Was that COVID? But you can just see some of the, for some populations, some of that 21, 22, the drop, but then it went back up again. So not as high in 2018 or 2019, 2020, just before COVID, but interesting, right? That there's been a bit of a, well, not a roller coaster, but it's interesting. Sorry?
Purple is coming.
Yes.
So orange and purple.
What was that, orange?
Yeah, just the onset and then boom, the return.
Now
So,
those COVID babies
keep
are in
working.
kindergarten.
They are. And grade one.
Yeah, we'll watch that.
Grade one.
So again, this is the analysis part, about participation again, what we're looking at in terms of maybe validity, because we have, a good sample size, information about masking again. And then here are the actual questions. If you scroll down, we thought it important just to state, here's what the kids were asked. So these are the ministry amalgamated these 4 from the learning survey as the indicator for that category. And so we spoke to the trends that we saw just by population group comparing to the district. Yeah, pretty closely aligned, which maybe isn't surprising because all kids are living in the world, not just in our schools. And we certainly know the impact of the world around them it has on kids, and the work that we want to make sure we do, because for some kids, sometimes in their life, school is maybe the safe place, right? And we should never forget that. Okay, keep going. This is the interpretation. And you can just keep going through. That's the comparisons. Again, I sort of spoke to it, what we noticed, that we are seeing some improvements. And we know that in some of our schools, and that was shared at some learning plans, kids will have 100% rate to say, yes, they know that 2 or more, I think it's 1 or more actually. I don't want to, is it 2 or more? Yeah, they care for them, and that's fantastic. Keep going. Again, you just stated this, just reaffirms that we have that responsibility, right, to ensure all students feel they belong, regardless of ancestry, orientation, learning difference, etc. Okay, keep going. And then career development. So this first one is this is tricky. This is always one that we do our best with, but they do an out-migration estimation, which means the ministry projects that kids that enter the system in grade 8, which is the start of high school, you will lose some of them. They will move to other jurisdictions. And so what they try to do is adjust for that, because currently the way the system is, if a student was anytime a student in a BC school, if they leave our district and go to another provincial district, great, it's caught in the tracking for graduation. If a student moves to Alberta, it's counted as not graduated. So, right, so that's why they do the adjustments without migration. So it's not a science. That's why in some years you can have, well, it's not gonna happen, but you can have 101% of students transitioning from grade 10 to 11. There's There's no such thing as 101%, but it's because of the stats that they do. So not a perfect science. Let's move on. We can get the statistics in the room later. But this is where we are. And again, this has been a hallmark of our district, that we work super hard to have our kids graduate, but graduate meaningfully. And again, thank you to the board when we did that change for meaningful dogwoods, and really lessen the numbers of adult dogwoods, which should only be used in very, very special cases, because it's really for students who are 19 and older. And we don't want to push kids through the system to make our graduates look good. It's not ethical. So really happy that we've made that change. And again, you can see in all populations, we are continuing to outperform the provincial average. But we know we can always do better. So again, the graph on the left is all in, and then disaggregated by population. And again, it is worth noting that with students with designations, that again, as you have more complex students in the system who have individualized programs where dogwood is not part of their learning plan, it still has an impact on did they graduate or not. We don't hide that information. We just make sure we have the authentic story for each child. That's the beauty of a medium-sized district. We know who our kids are. Okay. Go. Sorry, what was the one above? I thought it was the same one. Graduation. Oh yeah. You'll see it's very different in the recent years because we don't do that. So
Yeah.
scroll up. There you go. This is the one. Great. So we do see a reduction in students of Indigenous ancestry graduating. I won't share it publicly, but in camera, happy to share what that's about. I think I did at the end of last year. But that was in consultation with and support of the nations for those students who did not graduate. What I will share though, is that a number of those students have already re-registered with us and they're back with us this year. So they'll be in the 6-year grad rate. So very, very proud of those kiddos for coming back and put the supports in place for them.
That's fantastic news.
Yes, it is. Keep going. Yeah, we can skip all the objective analysis and the trends because I spoke to it all. And then the interpretation piece is just sharing that we note that the decline. Absolutely. We talked about data masking and then our strengths and areas for growth. Yeah, there we go. So the piece for Indigenous students, again, even though I'm thrilled they're coming back, it's more about the why they were not engaged in the 5 years that we're here, because again, there should be no reason why just because of your ancestry, you don't have just as much opportunity to graduate as everybody else. So that continues to be our aspiration. Yeah, okay. We can keep going through. I'm much more eloquent in the writing, the support of the teams than I am being right now. This one is another one that many school districts don't like, because this transition to post-secondary only references Canadian, or sorry, the BC. Gosh, I'm getting tired. It's either BC or just Canadian universities. It's just BC. So many of our students, especially in Sea to Sky, go abroad for post-secondary. And so we're looking at, and asking the ministry, is there a way to capture that? Because we have world-class athletes, we have world-class thinkers and innovators. They're going to universities, a wonderful career colleges, trade schools, sporting things all over the world, they're shown that, oh, they didn't transition to post-secondary. So when you, yeah, I know it's brutal. So of the 317 students to post-secondary and this is 1 year always behind, like another year behind, so it's 22, 23. If you scroll down, you will see what looks on paper to be super disconcerting that none of our kids are going to post-secondary. And look how low we are compared to the provincial average. But I'm over it, because that's 38% for 34% this year. Sorry, what color is it? Green. 38% of students. But again, when we go down to the analysis, I explain in the context what this references. So we're not concerned. Families aren't concerned. We always hear back
That
from
doesn't
what the
even,
kids are doing, but we love another measure,
yeah.
but we weren't allowed to add anything else to the template. Whereas in
When
our
we-
bigger
When we hear,
ESSA report, we write about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
when
We'll
we
get
hear
there.
about what they're doing at graduation, during the graduation ceremonies, it's often spoken to what each student is planning to do
Exactly.
in the coming years.
Yeah.
And this is not reflective of the same information that you
No.
hear.
So you can scroll down. Thank you so much for having the calm. So there it is within 3. Now this is within 3 years. We're seeing, and again, we're pretty well below the average. Keep going, whatever. We're not the only district that doesn't like this this report. There we go. So here it is. This is just it's in the interpretation. This is just the analysis. Keep going down. That represents, slow down for a sec. I can't remember where I put it now. Keep going down. Yeah, is it in the comparisons, or did I just do it in the, yeah, keep going down. There you go. It's in the interpretation. There it is. Yeah, BC, it's BC public post-secondary institutions only. So there's the whole country of Canada that offers some beautiful programs, not to mention other internet yet
Not
faded.
many kids
So,
go, so many.
It's in there. So again, I'm not concerned. Yeah, there's been thoughts and efforts about doing that
Trying to track.
before, but it would just be, no, Maya doesn't do that. It would just be those kids that would want to let us know, and then even then, it's not accurate. But I think the ministry can, because these kids have PIN numbers, and if they're applying to and getting in, there must be some, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to.
Yeah, but you can't track them after.
Right.
it's gone.
They're out of our jurisdiction. You got it. Yeah.
We should be.
Anyway, we'll kind of think of a way to make this more meaningful. This would be my feedback. Again, I'm on the there's 10 of us, 10 superintendents that are working on this. And we brought it up each year, and I'll bring it up again. Okay, we can keep going, because as I said, strength and years for growth. It's that short because I can't really draw any conclusions. Except to say again, I still know, even with those small numbers, it's still showing less opportunity for students of Indigenous ancestry. So I think that is indicative of something, because often kids stay close to home. So anyway, we'll try and do what we can. And I think, is there one more? There.
Must be one more, maybe several.
Sorry. Yeah, one more bit is there's the North being represented, and this is our response. And so this is another template where here is a table. So if you scroll down, this is simply an indicator of, keep going down. It's the same. I don't know why, but it's part of the template. Part B, which just says this is the 1 year snapshot. Keep going down, and here we are. It's a whoops, no, you have to go back up to the title if you can, and then scroll over to the left. Nope. Well, sorry, I apologize. A little bit further down, it's the review, respond and adjust chart. Respond and
Reduce.
There it is, reflect and adjust chart. So this is the template where we just say, okay, you know what, we've looked at our results against the educated citizen ministry view of intellectual development, human social development, career development, and then we align those with our priorities. So what are we currently doing for literacy? What are areas for growth? How effective have our strategies been? And then what are we doing this year? And then so this is captured in our year ahead as well. Like we spoke about the importance of place-based instruction. We talked about inclusion. We talked about ALT support. So this is just a bulleted list of how we're responding. And again, a lot of these we spoke before about. Keep scrolling down so we can go to the next section. Yeah, so here's outcome 2 again on numeracy. And again, some of the adjustments, adaptations, areas of growth are the same because we have the same concerns, even though it's a different area of learning. And we're just being really honest, right? Like the effectiveness, despite our initiatives and sustained wonderful ILT support, we're still seeing those gaps. So we've added or are maintaining as of last year a second ILT position for numeracy, so that we have separate elementary and secondary support as opposed to one person. I mean, we all do the work, but we're sharing the love, which I think is very important. And that transition process between elementary, middle, and secondary, I know we have good practices in some places, but not all. And we can always do better to ensure that those meetings between school teams as kids are going from one institution to another, that folks have as meaningful information as possible, so they have a better sense of where kids are at when they receive them in the following school year. We already do that for kids with IEPs, of course, but we recognize that we now have the tools to be able to share data earlier and across grades, so that folks have a better sense of where students are at when they receive them. So we're hoping that has an impact. As we go down to the human and social development for outcome number 3, again, we're actually seeing the positive trend, so we're super happy about that. So we're going to continue moving on with what we're doing. We're really excited with strategic plan to more meaningfully engage with students, hear their voices, make sure they feel heard, listened to, part of the work ahead. I mentioned earlier, we're going to include students in our accessibility committee as well, and continue with that compassionate systems work, which I think is foundational. Moving forward, keep going, lots of great strategies in place. And then for career development, we've been doing data readiness meetings for a number of years. We do them now at the elementary level, but we know we can do better to ensure that schools have the data that they need, so that the plans can maybe be in place earlier for catching kids earlier. Again, really appreciate all the hard work for those credit recovery meetings, but we'd love to be able to, again, catch kids earlier and set them up for success and confidence. We think that will have a positive impact on our already impressive graduation results, but we always want to do better. So we want to strengthen that. And then it has a list of some of the things we want to do for the adjustments and adaptations. You'll see student voice throughout. We also wanted to ensure that the public, yourselves, everyone understood that while there is a 5-year graduation rate, we want to honor those students who do require and benefit from that additional year. We don't want to rush all students through the system. As a former learning support teacher, I can tell you, my babies that I supported grade 8 through 12, some of those students absolutely needed that 13th year, that extra semester, and benefited beautifully from that. So I never want us as an organization to feel the pressure to get all kids through in 5 years. Because lots of students benefit from a 6th year and not quite ready to launch. And I think we need to be compassionate with those students and act in their best interest and not always in maybe a political point of get them through in 5 years.
Just comment really quickly. I know we're all getting tired, but just to normalize it as well. And I thank you for doing that, Chris, because there's nothing wrong with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Thank you so much.
I was thinking the same thing, you know, it, when you say that, you know, not everyone's ready to graduate in 5 years, that's not just for our priority learners, but that could even include some of your quote unquote high flyers who maybe just aren't ready to move off to an independent living situation at a post-secondary institution for whatever reason, you know, there's a variety of reasons why an extra year would be advantageous for so many students.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, board.
Mm.
Okay, you're in the end here. There we go for outcome number 5. This is just the competencies, and I spoke to it earlier about data readiness. Also spoke to, again, credit recovery, that we can do better. Keep going down. I think thank you. Wonderful. Whew.
Okay, you did it.
I'm sorry for all the data. I got energy for the next part as an exciting next agenda item.
There is an next.
But I do, so this does not require the approval of the ministry at year 1. It's year 3 that they look through it. So this requires approval of the board, and then it gets sent to the ministry as our snapshot.
Mhm. Okay,
That's support.
terrific. Thank you so much for the report and for all the diligence that.
Well, thank you to the team for
It took,
to
yeah, for everyone to pull all that information
Yeah.
together, because it's a rich source of information. With that being said, we do have a recommendation.
Which one are we on?
I'll go ahead and do that
AEA.
for you. That the Board of Education approves the 24-25 School District Number 48 Sea to Sky Framework for Enhanced Student Learning Report for submission to the Ministry of Education and Childcare.
Thank you, Celeste. Is there a second there? Okay, thank you. I saw Rachel's hand first, but I heard, Lisa, I heard your voice second. Thank you for that. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Great, thank you very much. That means there will be none opposed, and that motion is carried. Thank you so much. That brings us to our exciting topic on the agenda, a board authorized course. Back to you, Chris, again.
Yes, so this should be relatively easy because this context first. In order to continue to support the work of Portfolio and the digital portfolio and all that work teachers are doing, we've moved it from online support to the schools where the teachers want it, which is fantastic. What this will allow is for credit to be earned while doing the portfolio and in CLE, CLC classes, which of course are classes now in our schools. Our teachers are already doing this work. So this allows kids to get the additional credits with Fidelity because it will be implemented and assessed by the CLE, CLC teachers. So this course is actually already been approved by the ministry through the work of Abbotsford School District way back in 2018. And one of the lovely things about board authorized courses is that other school districts are able to use them as well, as long as the board approves them. And so we had some thank you to Elise Cochran, who updated it for our town, added a few things that we know we're working on. She updated the language to be more contemporary and also ensured, so in the last one, it actually stated specific digital tools that students would be using. Well, we know that technology changes so quickly. Instead, it's a variety of digital tools as necessary, vetted by the district. So it's still going to ensure that they're appropriate and privacy and everything else. So the template that you see is our template that we use now from the ministry. That just does the brief outline of here's the intent of the course. Have it, do folks have it up? Maybe we can put it up for the public. You folks have seen this before. I inundated you with these over the last couple of years, from Indigenous leadership to self-efficacy to bicycle repair, etc., soccer academy, etc. So those were all made in-house. So let's recall that. Whereas this one was a pre-existing ministry-approved board-authorized course, and in order for another district to use it, it must come before the board with the branding of that district and with some input from staff, which we've done. There it is. Okay, so this is the name of the course. I can read that from here. Sorry, I don't have it up. Yes, I do. Is it
Applications
digital?
of digital.
I'm getting tired, folks. I'm sorry. That's right.
Applications of digital.
That's right. So we obviously are required to honor the district that came up with it. So we have who it was developed by and when, with who it was adapted by. Nolan's been heavily involved as well as our district principal of technology innovation. And as you scroll down, there we go. It provides the synopsis and the rationale for the course, and of course, no pun intended, when you are going through CLE, CLC, and you are curating a digital portfolio, you are engaging in these learnings and more. So this is the standard template where we have the course, the rationale, how we're incorporating Indigenous worldviews and perspectives. Keep going down. I am speeding through because it has already been approved. We updated some of the big ideas, which I really appreciate. I mean, we know our kids are digital natives. However, this is to ensure we're doing our due diligence. Like, do we have confidence that, you know, they understand that what you do on the internet lives forever, and all those important pieces, as well as applying digital literacy skills to create fantastic artifacts that they can take on with them. As we've had presentations with kids before where they're sharing how they plan to use the digital portfolios to apply for work, to apply for bursaries, etc. We want this to be a meaningful living document for kids. And when kids do graduate from us, they're able to still have access to the portfolio that was purchased.
I'd be prepared to make the motion for you.
Okay, thank you.
That the Board of Education approves board authorized course as presented.
I think we have to have a
Education, I'm excited.
past 3 hours, like.
Oh,
you know,
great.
Like,
Okay, almost done.
we're really close.
We're very
Let's
close.
go.
Okay, and do you have a seconder for that motion?
Yes.
Thank
perfect.
you. Thank you, Lisa.
It's education. I can keep going. Sorry.
I know. I think this is going to be
Great.
a great move to streamline the CL or CLC, whichever one is that portion of that course. So that's
And it's
fantastic.
an option. It isn't being mandated, so it's by
Oh,
teacher
good.
and teacher choice. And I'll just mention at How Sound, they're stacking business applications, which is already a provincial course.
It's all
Get the additional credits.
Oh, okay, lovely.
We're on C.
All right. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? We did.
Yep.
Lisa, yeah, thank you. Seeing no one opposed, that is carried. Which brings us to our BCSTA council motion. We had a lot of discussion about that at committee of the whole, so I think we can just jump to the recommendation.
that
And if
the-
anyone is interested in seeing the discussion, they can watch the recorded.
The board, are you ready?
Yeah.
The board approves sending a motion to the BCSTA Provincial Council stating that the BCSTA urges the Ministry of Education and Childcare to provide dedicated funding for AEDs and naloxone kits in all school districts.
Thank you, Lisa, and I see April is ready to second that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, any let's do all in favor this time. Okay. Okay, thank you. That motion is passed. And finally, we have the 2024-2025 audited financial statements. Danielle, do you want to speak to that, or would you like to just?
Defer to.
I think this was discussed in our finance committee earlier, so people are welcome to take a look at that and
Yeah.
also the documents attached.
Yeah, a very thorough discussion around that statement with the people here in the room, as well as with the auditors for the school district. And I don't think any concerns arose at all. It was very clean and very thorough audit, and lots of good words coming back from the auditors about how well the district is performing, and no concerns were brought up. So I feel confident that we could leave the discussion at that, unless anyone would like to add something. Seeing not, maybe we'll go to the recommendation.
That the Board of Education approve the audited financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Lisa, and a seconder for that. Thank you, Rachel. Again, I'll ask if there's any discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? 4, 5, and then that is also passed. Thank you. All right, that brings us to our financial statement disclosure analysis. Again, discussed in a prior meeting thoroughly, no concerns. Everything looking very good. We have a recommendation.
That the Board of Education approve the financial statement discussion and analysis document as presented.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, April, for seconding. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, and thank you. That's also approved. And finally, we have the 2026-2027 minor capital plan approval. And we have a recommendation for that.
That the Board of Education approve the 2026-2027 minor capital plan as presented.
Thank you. And a seconder. Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion?
There was, just to say that there was discussion on this one as well earlier in the day. It's all recorded.
Thank you. I thought we would bring it up at the in discussion question. So fantastic. Yeah, all recorded, and looks like a very solid plan to ensure that our buildings are well cared for and kept up to date. All in favor of the motion? Thank you. That motion is also passed. Finally, we have items to be brought out of camera, of which there are none. There's nothing under bylaws, which brings us to questions of clarification from the public.
No, there is not.
At this time, there are none, which brings us to our adjournment. And seeing as how we have completed all of the business that is in our agenda for this evening, I will call this meeting adjourned at 8:53 p.m. and thank Chris and the team and everyone here today for a really good day. Just a really good day. Good work. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for all of the work you put into those two big documents. Thank you.
Team effort.
I feel like the